A veteran returns from the war, only to find his wife acting incoherently, as if hiding a secret. He pulls back the bed curtains, revealing the surprise she has prepared for him. Seeing that her secret is out, Betty feels no shame at all. Instead, she pulls out a divorce agreement she had prepared long ago.
I'm sorry, Paul.
Paul doesn't react with the anger Betty expected. Instead, he faces everything with a calm demeanor.
Are you all right?
Yeah. I'm fine.
At this moment, his joy is already written all over his face, instantly plunging Betty into a puzzled silence. Little do they know, Paul's unusual reaction stems from a sweet encounter just a few days prior. Seeing a girl's luggage slip, Paul intended to bend down and help her pick up the scattered items, but just then, the train jolted violently, nearly causing them to kiss. A blush of shyness instantly colors the girl's cheeks, and in her fluster, she accidentally grabs Paul's ticket instead of her own. However, Paul doesn't realize that this seemingly ordinary chance meeting will become the most profound turning point of his life. Soon after, Paul is kicked off the train by the conductor due to the ticket issue. He has no choice but to catch a local bus, where a clever twist of fate leads him to meet the girl again.
I'm so embarrassed. I wanted to apologize, but you looked so peaceful.
Apology accepted.
They chat like old friends, topics flowing between them endlessly. It is at this moment the girl realizes she had taken Paul's ticket by mistake, yet Paul doesn't mind at all. They thought this would be a relaxing journey, but two thugs boarding midway break the peace. Although there are plenty of empty seats, they deliberately sit next to Victoria to harass her. Seeing this, Paul immediately speaks up to stop them.
Lady doesn't want to be bothered. Just let her be.
Angered that their fun is ruined, the thugs throw punches at Paul, but he nimbly dodges and easily defeats their arrogance. However, his act of justice isn't appreciated by the driver. To maintain order, the driver rudely kicks both of them off the bus. Watching Victoria gradually disappear from his view, a deep sense of helplessness wells up in Paul's heart. Disappointment hangs over him like a dark cloud, but he cannot stay there, so he continues on his journey home. But he hasn't gone far when he unexpectedly runs into Victoria again. However, the Victoria before him now is starkly different from her lively self earlier. The laughter is gone from her face, replaced by a heavy, solemn expression. When Paul asks why she is alone in this desolate wilderness, Victoria's emotional defenses collapse, and her pent-up feelings pour out like a flood.
Well, look, it's none of my business, but if you'd like to talk about it.
Perhaps sensing Paul's kindness, the sobbing Victoria recounts her misfortunes. Victoria was an excellent graduate student. At an age when love first blooms, she thought she had met Mr. Right and even became pregnant with his child. But when the man found out she was pregnant, he abandoned her without hesitation, disappearing without a trace for months. Victoria knows deep down that if her conservative father finds out, the rest of her life will be overshadowed by his scolding and family shame. After speaking, the fear and helplessness in Victoria's heart almost suffocate her. But after hearing all this, Paul calmly proposes a plan. If Victoria brings home a fake husband, who then slips away after staying one night leaving a breakup letter, her current predicament would be resolved.
There's nobody.
Watching Victoria's weary figure slowly fade into the distance, Paul's heart wavers after all.
Victoria! There's me.
The reason Paul is willing to do such a ridiculous thing stems from his wife's cold attitude. He fought desperately on the war-torn front lines for years, repeatedly hovering between life and death. Despite his physical and mental exhaustion, he never fell, finally returning to this familiar land with a longing for survival and peace. Seeing his comrades greeted by wives and children, while he looks around to find no loved one waiting for him, Paul, an orphan since childhood, feels an unprecedented loneliness and bitterness. When he dragged his tired body home, he found his wife, Betty, sitting on a stool dressed in flashy clothes. Instead of joy, her face showed panic at Paul's return. And over the past 4 years, Betty has never opened a single letter Paul sent. She later admits that it was because she feared her longing would become overwhelming, and she never had the courage to open those deeply heartfelt letters. Before Paul can recount the hardships of military life, Betty tells him she has already found him a job selling chocolates. Although it is hundreds of miles away, the high salary is enough for them to live a stable life. So he embarked on this work journey. Realizing he needs to re-examine the direction of his life, Paul decides to go with the flow and help Victoria. On the way to her home, they reveal their true feelings to each other. It turns out Paul has been alone since childhood, but years of isolated living haven't defeated him. After meeting Betty, she became Paul's only spiritual pillar. During his years in the army, Paul wrote his thoughts in letters to Betty every day, but Betty ignored his letters completely. In contrast, Victoria is the favored daughter of a prestigious family with 400 years of history, living off their vineyard for generations. However, they are stunned by the scene before them. Not far away lies Victoria's hometown. Set against the sunlight and green trees, the lush vineyard looks like a dreamy fairyland. Paul hurriedly takes out a chocolate, using the wrapper as a substitute wedding ring to make their act as a fake couple more convincing. Just then, a gunshot rings out nearby, and Paul instinctively shields Victoria. But he never expected the shooter to be Victoria's father, Alberto. Upon learning that the man before him is the son-in-law his daughter found, Alberto instantly flies into a rage. In the eyes of the deeply traditional Alberto, his daughter's secret marriage is undoubtedly a betrayal of the family. But no matter how much he complains to Victoria's mother and grandmother, they show no prejudice against the handsome young man. Helpless, Alberto goes to reason with the head of the family, Don Pedro. Surprisingly, the usually strict grandfather extends a warm welcome to Paul.
I am Pedro Aragon. Welcome to our happy family.
Paul then offers Don Pedro a taste of the chocolates he brought. He first picks up a piece and offers it to Alberto, but Alberto, having nothing to say, walks away resentfully. Don Pedro puts the chocolate in his mouth. As it melts, his heart, like the chocolate, accepts this sudden grandson-in-law. To welcome Paul, the family prepares dinner together. During this time, Victoria constantly complains to her mother, Marie, about her father's rigidness, insisting her marriage should be her choice, not a forced union with a stranger aristocrat based on her father's ideas.
And is this what your heart wants?
Okay.
Yes.
Really and truly?
Facing her mother's inquiry, Victoria hesitates for a moment but still gives an affirmative answer. Perhaps in this moment, she has already forgotten that she and Paul are just a fake couple. Soon, it is time for the dinner banquet. Watching Victoria's family gathered together in this sweet moment, an indescribable pain rises in Paul's heart. Before he can recover, Marie begins to ask about how they met.
I was on leave in June.
In July, just after I moved to the city.
Oh, that's right. July. At the USO.
Hearing this, Victoria is instantly thrown into a panic because almost no girl would take a part-time job in the army. Still, she quickly gathers her thoughts and goes on to smooth out their sweet lie. Although everyone believes their story, Alberto remains skeptical. Upon learning Paul is an orphan, he bluntly voices all his prejudices, scolding his daughter for marrying a man with no future. Although Victoria tries her best to defend Paul, Alberto's cold words pierce Paul's heart like needles. Realizing there is no place for him at this dinner, Paul thanks the family for their hospitality and quietly leaves. Victoria rushes out to apologize to Paul, but Paul doesn't mind. He softly recounts his childhood in the orphanage, how he used to climb onto the roof to gaze into the distance, longing for a warm home like Victoria's.
That's no reason for him to treat you that way.
And I was gonna say something, but a strange man comes into my house, tells me he's married my only daughter and I'm the last to know. Probably act the same way.
No, you wouldn't.
I don't know about that.
At this moment, Victoria can't help but be attracted by Paul's deep character. The thought of him leaving tomorrow morning stirs a sense of reluctance in her heart. As night falls, Marie begins preparing the bridal room for Victoria and Paul. According to local custom, newlyweds must sleep in the master bedroom. After everything is arranged, she gently offers them her deepest blessings.
Love each other. Always.
Marie then returns to her room to comfort her upset husband. Alberto complains that Paul has not only taken his daughter away from him, but has also occupied the master bedroom that was meant to be theirs. Even so, local newlyweds must receive parental blessings before sleeping, so Marie urges her husband to calm down, as this ritual cannot be slighted. Meanwhile, Paul has already made a bed on the floor. But at this moment, Victoria asks a meaningful question.
Would you marry someone if it wasn't your baby they were carrying?
If I loved her?
Just as she finishes speaking, Alberto's knock comes from outside, causing them to break into a cold sweat. Paul rushes to the bed, and they pretend to embrace lovingly. Alberto walks in and reluctantly says goodnight. Before leaving, he notices the messy sheets by the bed, but fortunately, he doesn't take it to heart. However, Victoria reveals that the bedroom door cannot be locked. To prevent any accidents, they have no choice but to sleep in the same bed. Unexpectedly, a simple inadvertent glance plunges their thoughts into a wandering trance. With the romantic tension filling the air, the thin barrier between them seems ready to break at any moment. But Paul finds a balance between reason and love. The burden of responsibility makes him instinctively reject the desire to cross the line. The difference in status and the complex situation prevent them from breaking the emotional shackles deep in their hearts, allowing the subtle feelings to grow quietly. That night, Paul is haunted by nightmares of war. The brutal images of battle replay clearly in his mind, as if they happened yesterday. Victoria gently soothes the trauma in his soul. Suddenly, urgent bells ring through the night sky. The vineyard is suffering from a deadly frost. Alberto picks a grape to check the situation. Fortunately, the cold hasn't destroyed the roots. They swiftly take emergency measures, lighting the special heaters. Then, waving the fan blades like butterflies, they spread the warm currents within the smoke to every corner of the grapevines. Paul joins in without hesitation, but his clumsy movements cause the thick smoke to make him cough repeatedly. Victoria then teaches him how to wave the fan correctly. Her graceful figure is like a spirit in the night sky, dancing through the vineyard. Paul stands behind Victoria, gradually waving his stiff arms with more skill. At this very moment, the vineyard looks like a beautiful painting, gently warming the depths of Paul's heart. As the frost on the grapes melts, the coldness in Alberto's eyes also dissipates. When dawn breaks, Paul packs his bags, intending to leave the estate. Although Victoria is reluctant, she must face reality and doesn't try too hard to make him stay. Just as Paul is about to walk out, he bumps into Don Pedro, who is up early and invites Paul for a walk. Walking through the misty vineyard, Don Pedro tells Paul how their ancestors brought a grapevine from their homeland in the 16th century, crossed the ocean to Mexico, and stayed for a lifetime to build the family's legacy. With Don Pedro's words echoing in his ears, they reach the top of the hills. Before them stands an ancient grapevine, the foundation of the vineyard, the source of it all, and the Aragon family's precious treasure.
Of our lives, of Victoria's life. Now that you are part of all this, it is the root of your life. You are an orphan no longer.
Hearing Don Pedro, Paul is enveloped by an indescribable sense of belonging, the warmth of family that he, an orphan, has always craved. So Paul decides to stay for a short while to enjoy this moment of peace and warmth. The next morning, seeing that Paul hasn't left, Victoria's joy is overflowing. Today is the harvest season, and Paul follows Victoria to join in. The farmers, who have worked hard all year, wave their small knives to harvest the plump fruits of their labor. With Victoria's help, Paul quickly masters the picking technique. But on his first try, he drops the grapes on the ground. Just as Paul is about to pick them up, Alberto snatches them, brushes off the dust, puts them back in the basket, and gives Paul a provocative look. A silent contest between the two men begins. Alberto glances at Paul occasionally while skillfully wielding his knife. Not wanting to be outdone, Paul gradually finds his rhythm. The family, seeing this unusual scene, immerses themselves in the rare fun. In the end, Alberto wins the contest by a slight margin, thanks to his years of experience. Paul picks up the grape Alberto dropped and imitates his earlier gesture, gently blowing the dust off the fruit. Everyone is deeply attracted by the atmosphere of harvest and warmth. In this dreamlike realm bathed in sunlight, a long-lost smile appears on Alberto's face, as if his grudge against Paul has vanished like smoke. Then comes the most critical step, winemaking. As grapes slide into the vat one by one, the air fills with a rich, fruity aroma. They stick to the most ancient brewing techniques, passing down not just technology, but culture and emotion. With melodious songs echoing in the air, laughter rises and falls. As a newcomer, Paul is pushed into the vat by the crowd. He and Victoria are surrounded by everyone, but the moment their eyes meet, time seems to freeze. The collision of two hearts can no longer be hidden, instantly igniting the deep-seated affection between them. But eventually, Paul calms down from the romantic atmosphere.
I can't imagine how I want you, but I'm not free, and I won't hurt you that way. I won't. I'm sorry.
Paul holds fast to his principles and never returns to Victoria's room until dawn. His chaotic thoughts and internal struggle lead him to spend a sleepless night on the sofa. Just then, Alberto walks out of another room. Paul quickly gets up to straighten his clothes, but Alberto still senses something is wrong.
that you sleep one night on the floor, the next on the couch. Try me.
Facing her father's questioning, Victoria is speechless. She glances at Paul and turns away. Paul then reveals the truth about Victoria's return. She deeply loves this family. But Paul's well-intentioned defense doesn't gain Alberto's understanding. He simply warns Paul again not to interfere in his family's affairs. Knowing it is time to leave, Paul discovers the grandmother has unknowingly washed the clothes he changed out of, leaving him helpless. Just then, he sees Victoria in severe abdominal pain. He rushes to her, but Victoria doesn't want him to stay any longer. Because they had agreed from the very beginning to help Victoria for just one day, the consequences of everything that followed should not be borne by Paul along with her.
Go home, Paul. No one can help me.
Watching Victoria walk away, Paul follows her regardless, only to run into Alberto again in the warehouse. Alberto still refuses to acknowledge Paul and Victoria's relationship, using vicious words to drive Paul away. Alberto's attitude becomes too much for Paul to tolerate, so Paul speaks frankly and lays bare the root of the rift between him and Victoria.
For shutting your daughter out of your heart. Can't you see how amazing she is? How alive? I would die for what you have.
You know nothing about my daughter.
And strong. And deserves all the love this world has to give. Can't you see that?
Who do you think I do this for? For them. All of them. I love my family.
You should let them know it.
Hearing this, Alberto falls silent, though a storm rages in his heart. People often save their worst emotions for those closest to them, perhaps revealing inner fragility and insecurity, or because love and care are hard to express. Only through a genuine collision of hearts can a warm and harmonious picture be painted. Paul lifts the soaked clothes out of the basin and packs them into his backpack. Although reluctant to leave, he deeply understands that parting is the best arrangement, but he is stopped once again by Don Pedro. Holding a bottle of white wine he brewed 21 years ago, Don Pedro takes Paul to a place of romance unique to men. After a few rounds of drinks, Paul and Don Pedro are immersed in inner joy and a trance-like state. Notes of the local romantic tunes play in their ears. Don Pedro tells Paul that singing this song under a loved one's window is the sincerest expression of inner emotion. If the loved one lights the lamp in the room, it is a promise to spend the rest of their life with you. He then urges Paul to go to Victoria's window. As the musicians play romantic notes, Paul, emboldened by alcohol, blurts out his feelings for Victoria. Victoria hears the song outside. She slowly comes to the window and sees the face of the man she loves through the mist. But deep down, she hesitates. She understands that this fate is brief and powerless to change destiny. In another room, Alberto also hears Paul's true feelings. At this moment, he puts down his prejudice and deeply feels the affection between the two. Receiving no response for a long time, Paul sobers up from his trance. Under everyone's stunned gaze, he turns and leaves, bidding farewell to this illusion of love. He understands that some meetings are just interludes of fate, and they are destined not to end up together, just like the candlelight that didn't light up for him. The next morning, Victoria's family goes to the station to hold the grandest harvest celebration. Paul happens to be there waiting for his train. Victoria sees Paul, and unspeakable emotions surge in her heart. Both have made peace with this cruel fate. Past struggles and unwillingness are gradually replaced by peace and acceptance. However, yesterday's song moved Alberto. He introduces Paul to the whole town as his new son-in-law, accepting him and setting their wedding for that very night. He declares that anyone who doesn't attend the wedding is insulting his honor. Victoria and Paul look at each other, knowing it is time to unveil the truth. So Victoria gathers her courage, deciding to tell the truth herself. At the moment of parting, they seal their brief emotions with a farewell kiss. Paul then embarks on his journey home. But when he opens the door, he discovers his wife's affair with another man. His heart is strangely calm as he accepts the divorce papers she hands him. Fate loves to toy with people. At this moment, he feels a sense of liberation, giving him the courage to pursue his true love once again. When he rushes back to the dreamlike estate, he finds a drunk Alberto. Seeing Paul, Alberto's anger explodes instantly. He berates Paul for leaving without saying goodbye, causing him to lose face in front of everyone. No matter how Paul explains, Alberto's rage has clouded his judgment. Paul desperately shouts Victoria's name. Victoria runs out, eager to stop this seemingly endless conflict. Just then, Alberto accidentally flings a kerosene lamp into the orchard. A raging fire instantly spreads everywhere. Paul rushes into the sea of fire without hesitation, trying to save the family's bloodline. But the fire is too great, and all efforts are in vain. Just like that, the once beautiful cloud-like fairyland turns into a ruined ocean of fire. Everyone weeps, watching generations of hard work turn to bubbles. At dawn, everyone is exhausted, with unspeakable pain lingering in their hearts. 400 years of heritage has come to a full stop. Victoria goes to her father, trying to comfort him. At this moment, Alberto truly reveals his feelings for Victoria.
All of you. I didn't know any other way to love. Can you teach me?
Victoria finally feels her father's deep and selfless love for the family. Just then, Don Pedro laments that the fire took everything, sparing not even the grapevines. Paul seems to remember something. He finds the family's lifeblood Don Pedro spoke of, uses all his strength to pull it from the deep soil, and brings it to Alberto. Seeing it, a glimmer of hope flashes in Alberto's eyes. He takes a small knife and cuts a section of the vine. Shrouded in difficulties, the hardworking fruit farmers never lack the courage to start over. Life is just like this. Knowing you still have a chance is often the most fortunate thing, wrapped in promise and love.
It's the root of your life. The root of your family. You are bound to this land and to this family by commitment, by honor, and by love.
We understand that true love is not just sweet companionship, but understanding and tolerance between each other. Everyone has their own pain and weakness, and sincere love is the willingness to reach out and provide support when the other is most fragile. Only with a mindset of mutual tolerance can love become tough enough to withstand all the storms of the outside world.